They say every crime begins with a choice, but some crimes begin with a glitch. Picture this, a five-star hotel at midnight. Police lights crawl across the windows like hungry ghosts. Inside, a man sits alone, hands trembling, breath shallow, waiting for the knock that will split his life in two. From months ago, he was a forgotten bartender in a dusty Australian town. Tonight, he is the ghost the banking system still doesn't understand. A man who unlocked an ATM that could create infinite money. And now, the reckoning has arrived. It all began on a warm February night. Dan Saunders, 29, broke, half-buzzed, and fully invisible stumbled toward a glowing ATM. He wasn't looking for trouble, just enough cash for a cab home. But when the clock struck midnight, something inside that machine blinked and then died. The system went blind, balances vanished, limits dissolved. And when Dan dared to press withdraw, despite having almost nothing in his account, the machine exhaled a soft click and spat out $200, real cash, real serial numbers. Real danger. Most people would freeze. Most people would walk away. But Dan wasn't most people. He was a man who had lived his whole life on the bottom rung, and suddenly, the ladder snapped. The next night, he tested it again. Like a ritual. Transfer fake money from his credit account to his savings, then withdraw real cash. And the system, blind and trusting, obeyed like a loyal servant. Day after day, the numbers grew: $8,000, $16,000, $50,000. Until one day, the bank screen flickered with a number he'd never dreamed of: $1 million. $1 million on paper, created out of thin air by a bartender with nothing but desperation, insomnia, and a glitch. He didn't whisper it to anyone. He didn't brag or confess. But inside him, something ancient woke up, a hunger that comes only when you realize the world's rules are just illusions. Within weeks, Dan became a legend no one could explain. Private jets to Bali, hotel suites that smelled of marble and money. Nights drowned in champagne so expensive it could buy a car. And in every room he walked into, people shifted, as if wealth had rewritten the gravity around him. But the strangest part, he became addicted not to spending, but to giving. Paying off friends' debts, clearing tuition, lifting burdens with the flick of a hand. It made him feel powerful, human, needed, loved. But love built on lies ages fast. And somewhere inside his chest, guilt began to sharpen its teeth. By late spring, nightmares became his alarm clock. Red and blue lights, hands grabbing him, the final collapse. He Googled his own name every morning, expecting the headline. He snapped awake at every phone vibration. He lied to family, friends, strangers, until the lies formed a noose of their own. Even the bank's fraud department never suspected him. The glitch was too bizarre to fit their rulebook. To them, he was just a very dedicated, extravagant customer. But the thrill was dying, the fear was not. One night, Dan couldn't do it anymore. No more fake transfers. No more midnight rituals. No more pretending. He let the system reveal the truth. Within seconds, his account plunged into negative millions, the ghost money evaporating, leaving only the wreckage behind. When he called the bank to confess, trembling, the manager simply said, "Sir, it's a police matter now," and hung up. The silence that followed was worse than handcuffs. The bank wasn't ignoring him. It was studying him, building a case inch by inch. He waited for the knock. Hours became days, days became months, months became years. 2 years later, broken by fear, Dan did the unthinkable. He told the truth not to the bank, not to the police, but to the press. His story exploded across the country. TV shows, interviews, the ATM hacker millionaire, and that finally woke the law. He was arrested, charged, and dragged into a courtroom where even the prosecutor couldn't explain the crime properly. He stole money that didn't exist. The prosecutor stuttered. The judge blinked twice. Even they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Dan pled guilty. Not because he was caught, but because he was tired of being someone he no longer recognized. 1 year in prison, 18 months of correctional service. And then freedom, not wealth, not fame, just freedom. Years later, back behind a bar wiping down glasses, a regular recognized him. "You're that ATM guy, right?" Dan braced for judgment. Instead, the man slid him a $20 bill. "Best tip you'll get today," he said. "This one's from money I actually earned." They both laughed, and for the first time, the laughter didn't hurt. Dan lost the millions, lost the lifestyle, lost the illusion. But he found something else, a truth he once ran from. A fortune made in the dark can never survive the light. If this story pulled you in, if it shocked you, intrigued you, or made you think, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite moment, share this story with someone who loves true crime, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible narrations dropping almost daily. Your support doesn't just help the channel, it keeps stories like this alive. See you in the next one.